coming in. Yeah, flex, I just wanna win. Yeah, LABB, who we running with. Yeah, 2233, I'm on 10 again.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Elo Speaks back again with a discussion video. And in this discussion topic video, I wanted to talk about what happened at the All-Star break and what's going on with the sports media news right now. So, of course, we all know that the NFL season is finished. And, of course, the NBA Allstars are on a break after All-Star weekend. But one thing I wanted to talk about is the sports pundits and analysis that we are now. Sports news is kind of slow right now, so they're just throwing stuff to the wall, see what stick to talk about. And of course, one of the main topics that they like to talk about is the GOAT conversation between the false narrative GOAT conversation between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And I don't have a problem with it. I think it's been overdone for the past 5 years, ever since 2016. But the thing that really irks me is the LeBron James fanboys in the media, to be specific, and how they're being overly biased in terms of how they're covering LeBron James. And the thing I hate is when they try to make a case for LeBron James, they don't even come off as intelligent. They come off as idiotic, delusional, and just like fanboyish, to be honest. I was watching First Things First. Obviously, Undisputed is on a break right now because Shannon is having hip surgery, so we're not sure when they're gonna be back. I hope he has a speedy recovery from his hip surgery. So Undisputed is taking a break. So we have First Things First, and then we have the Herd. And First Things First, and then I was listening to the show, and then they were having a debate on who's greater, Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and yeah. You already know how it is. Nick Wrong is advocating for LeBron James to be the greatest of all time, and Chris Broussard is also advocating for Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time. And it's not even that they're having the debate, it's just how disgusted I am listening to Nick Wright explain how LeBron James is the GOAT. In certain aspects, he doesn't even use facts anymore. It's just straight up hypotheticals and hearsay or what could have been. And he basically want to disqualify LeBron James' 6 losses and see that as a good thing. They want LeBron James, just because LeBron James got to the finals, they want to give LeBron James credit for that. They want to basically, if LeBron James, for every final LeBron James get to, even though he lost, he should get half credit just for doing that. And they want to disregard the point where the Eastern Conference, for that point, was really weakened when he created his big three, and that's how he was able to get to those many finals. Because I guarantee if LeBron James was in the Western Conference during the 2010s era, he was not going to go to 8 finals straight. I know that for sure, but I digress. Yeah, so Nick Wright was just using a whole bunch of hypotheticals. Then he wanted to use stats and he wanted to nitpick stats that favor LeBron James. And then when the stats are not in his favor, he wants to go back to the hypotheticals, and then he want to go back to the hearsay, and he want to nitpick certain things Jordan couldn't do, or how LeBron James has a higher 3-point shooting percentage, or how Jordan never did this, or how Jordan never beat the bad boy Pistons, or how he never beat the Celtics or the Lakers in the 80s, or how Michael Jordan never faced tough competition in NBA Finals, or how LeBron James had to face his finals competition were way more tougher than that, blah, 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 all that nonsense. And it was just disgusting to hear. Thank God for Chris Broussard to basically negate all of that nonsense by bringing some reason and logical facts to the debate to basically negate all of his BS, because it was disgusting to watch. Nick Wright is a true I wouldn't say the true definition, but him and Shannon Sharpe are up there as a true definition of what a fanboy is. Nothing matters, all logic out the window, everything doesn't matter. That person's the best player of all time, It doesn't matter what facts you bring to them to dispute it. They're going to think LeBron James is the greatest of all time. There's nothing they can trade him on. And that's fine. But you need to understand, you're not kids, so you're not a 20-year-old. These are guys that's in their 30s or 40s that's advocating for another grown man as the greatest of all time, and they look ridiculous doing it. Like, come on. And me, granted, I think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, but there's no need for me to go hard in the paint for me to be like Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time. The numbers speak for itself. The awards, the accolades speak for itself. His aura and legacy and eye test speak for himself. Michael Jordan maxes out on all things. Like, when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year, Michael Jordan has that. LeBron James does it. There's a year that Michael Jordan had 100 blocks, and then there was another year where Jordan led the league in steals. LeBron James never did that. But again, we could go into 10 scoring titles, the 6 championships, 6 Finals MVPs, 0 losses in the NBA title, in the NBA Finals, and a whole bunch of accolades. But it doesn't matter, because you could bring all those facts to the conversation. But if you're talking to a LeBron James fanboy like Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp, they don't want to hear it, and there's no point in hearing it. But again, I get it. It makes great TV. It's entertaining, but at this point, it's not even informal. At this point, it's just comical, to say the least. Because normally back then, before the advent of social media and the internet, people used to go to Sports Center to get good analysis on certain sports topics. But as the internet became the rise, and we see how biased the media is towards certain players and how they cover them, there became more internet news media that's more trustworthy and speaks directly for the people and give their true analysis. Now, granted, there's some biased people in the internet media as well, but for the most part, you're going to hear the truth, the raw, unadulterated truth, in terms of how they're going to cover the sports topic. Because some of these athletes that works in the sports media, some of these analysis that works in the sports media, they are biased towards certain players. They're going to cover certain players differently because of how their relationship with them. Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, they have a different relationship with them, so they're going to cover them in a good light, to where any type of criticism that comes their way, they're going to try to bury that thing under the rug and try to make it seem like it's nothing little. Like, for instance, Shannon Sharp, as the fanboy that he is, he tries to bury the notion that LeBron James taking shots at the general manager Rob Pelinka of the Los Angeles Lakers for not pushing that trade for John Wall and trading Russell Westbrook and a first round pick for John Wall. And when you have fanboy medias in the planet, you have fanboy medias in the sports media planted all over the Sports Center, FS1 and stuff like that, you could plant those stories out there, and then the gullible fans are going to believe it, and the truth is never going to get out. But there's always going to be people like the sports media, the internet media, is going to come out and counteract that BS and be like, no, that is true. That is what happened. LeBron James is taking subliminal shots, and if you don't catch it, then it's going to go way over your head, because that's how LeBron James does. He's passive aggressive. He's feminine in nature and how he tries to express himself. But I get it. He has a big platform, and if he's direct on how he feels, he's going to get a lot of backlash for it. So this is the way that he takes it, trying to express himself in terms of what he wants for the team. But he needs to understand that playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, you don't call the shots. It's not Cleveland, it's not Miami, and it's not the first time you're around in Cleveland. You don't run nothing here. The Los Angeles Lakers is a bigger organization, franchise than LeBron James, so he can't call carte blanche shots like he did in the other franchises prior. So he needs to understand and stay in his lane. So when you have stuff like that going on, then he's gonna feel like he's small, but that's his business. But the point of the matter is, when it comes to Nick Wright and all them, it's just disgusting how they've been covering LeBron James and etc. All the talk that they be doing, they're really trying to like brainwash people into thinking that Michael Jordan is just some has-been that went up against plumbers and milkmen and toilet like cleaners and stuff like that, to make it seem like Michael Jordan didn't go out when go against no competition, and that's far from the truth. And granted, LeBron James is a great player. I take nothing from him. He's a top 7 player of all time, and he played against great teams. But again, he's 4-6 in the finals, but you could really say he's 3-6-1 in the finals, because I see he has 3 titles, 6 losses, and 1 bubble championship. I do not count that bubble championship as a legitimate title on his part, because that was a strange season, and the only reason he won that season is because they had 4 to 5 months off to rest and recoup. Then they went to Orlando, where there's no home crowd, no travel, no nothing, and then they went up against a Miami Heat team that was a 5th seed, and then 2 of their stars got hurt. So that was an easy finals. That was a weird finals, and I don't count that. Again, nothing to take away from LeBron James overall as a player, great player, but he's just not the greatest of all time. That was a fake Fugazi title, and moving forward, but the fanboy media, they want to count that as a title because they're desperate to push a narrative that he's greater than Michael Jordan. They're going to continue to lose at that narrative, but they're going to continue nonetheless because they're getting paid by LeBron James. You can ask most people who's the greatest of all time, they're going to say Michael Jordan. Even millennials who hasn't seen Michael Jordan play, they're going to say Michael Jordan. ESPN has done a poll on who's the greatest player of all time. Most 60% said Michael Jordan. David, NBA.com also did a poll. Majority of people said Michael Jordan. David did a whole bunch of polls. You ask most people, they're gonna say Michael Jordan. And LeBron James was like number 2, even though I think that's too high. I feel like Kareem should be number 2. That's my personal opinion. And everybody's entitled to have their own personal opinion as regards to who's the number 1 and number 2. But again, the biased media for LeBron James and how they're covering LeBron James is disgusting. It needs to stop. There's no point no more. LeBron James been flaming out for the past 2 seasons, ever since he won that bubble championship, that fake bubble championship. He's been flaming out, and I don't care about how he's been hurt. Last year, he should have at least made it to the second round. I would not have said nothing if he made it to the second round, but he got knocked off in the second round. That takes a damper on his legacy. And if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, then I'm going to have to put him lower on my top 10 list again, because there's no reason that as great as he's been playing this season, he should at least get his team into the playoffs. I don't care about no playing tournament. I don't care about AD being hurt. He has a second star at Westbrook. He needs to make it happen and get into the playoffs. Most likely, once he gets into the playoffs, he's gonna face Golden State or Phoenix and get wiped out in 5 games, and then that'll be the rest of their season. And then see what they're gonna do for next year for the 2023 season. But moving forward, it's clearly it's clearly obvious that 2020 championship bubble title is fake, fugazi, because LeBron James has done nothing ever since. I don't care about him being hurt. I don't care about the team being old. I don't want to hear none of those excuses. If he's the greatest of all time, he makes it happen, and he can do that. I don't care about none of that crap. If he's as good as you guys try to advertise he is, he needs to make it at least to the playoffs or second round at least. If he's the greatest of all time, which he's not, but if that's what y'all keep saying. But again, have you guys been listening to Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, and their disgusting takes on LeBron James? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Do you agree with my take? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below. This is Elo Speaks out.
Coming in, yeah, flex. I just wanna win, yeah. LA BB, who we running with, yeah. 2, 2, 3, 3, I'm on 10 again.